All right, y'all. So, all right. So this one is a serious one. I'm sure y'all heard about this. This school shooting in Georgia that happened yesterday.
Yeah, this is gonna be the first time for me.
Okay. All right. So here's this tragic story. Check this out.
Community continues to grieve following the nation's latest school shooting. 2 students and 2 teachers died at Apalachee High School about an hour northeast of Atlanta. A 14-year-old student is in custody, and authorities say he'll be tried as an adult. NBC's Priya Sridhar is at the school in Winder, Georgia.
I'm here at Apalachee High School, where the community is still mourning today. We're learning new information about both the suspect and the victims. The suspect has been identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, who was a student at the school. And we're now learning that he was actually on the radar of the FBI just last year. They say authorities questioned both him and his father revealing that he did have hunting rifles inside of the house, but that Colt Gray did not have unsupervised access to them. We're also hearing from authorities that he used an AR-15 style weapon in this shooting. We don't have any more information about how he got that weapon or what his potential motive could be. We also know that the 4 deceased victims, 2 of them are 14-year-old students, 2 are math teachers. The remaining 9 victims are being treated in hospitals. 8 of them are students, 1 is a teacher, but they are all expected to survive. We also know that the teenage suspect will be charged with murder and tried as an adult. Back to you.
This was the 45th school shooting so far this year, the deadliest U.S. school shooting since the March 2023 massacre at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee, that left 6 people dead.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has identified the gunman as 14-year-old Colt Gray. He's a student here at Apalachee High School. He's being charged with murder and will be tried as an adult. Right now, he's being held at a juvenile detention center. We'll get our first look at him at a virtual hearing on Friday. We're hoping to get a better idea of the motive as to why he brought a gun to this high school in the first place.
I'm just still in shock, and I just prayed that he would be okay.
I love you. Part of a flurry of texts Erin Clark got from her son at Apalachee High School as a shooter opened fire, killing 4 people and wounding 9 others. Clark's son surviving the violence, reuniting with his mom outside the school.
He's not a hugger, and I had to force him to hug me.
Tragically, Shermerhorn and Christian Angelo, as well as teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Ermey, were killed during the shooting. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation revealed the suspected gunman, a 14-year-old student named Colt Gray, began the shooting just after 10 a.m. He was arrested quickly after being confronted by a school resource officer. Right now, officials say there's no obvious connection between Gray and the victims.
This is everybody's worst nightmare. And I just want to offer my sincere condolences and our thoughts and prayers to the families that have lost loved ones.
Wednesday night, members of the community gathered at a local park to pray for those who were hurt and killed, less than a month after school began at the high school of some 1,900 students.
I lived in Winder all my life. I'm 15. I've been here like a long time. I just never thought. That's why my parents came here. It's such a peaceful town, and just nothing ever happened. I didn't think it would be here where I live.
On top of classes being canceled for the rest of the week, we're
for the rest of the week.
Well, I mean, this happened on Wednesday, Z. So, I mean,
I ain't going to school next week. If you know what I'm saying,
I get you. You like, that's it. I'm not trying to be back up in there. Yeah,
nah, I ain't about to go over there. You talk about remote learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going.
Let's go ahead and implement that.
Right? I'm not going back to the office where the other lady passed, and I'm not going to school next week. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to get this shit under control, man.
Yeah. It's crazy to me, man, that this shit just keeps happening. And
they said it was like the 40. They said it was like the 45th.
Yeah,
the school shooting this year.
So we just don't hear about a lot of them, and perhaps most of them don't actually end in hopefully they don't end in a casualty. You know what I mean? But even still, man, it's just I just find it really interesting that we still can't come to terms with the idea of the importance of more strict gun laws. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Listen, as somebody that owns guns, I never even understood why somebody would need to be able to purchase AR-15s or those type of assault rifle weapons. You know what I mean? That are clearly just intended for combat. You know what I mean? War zone combat. It just baffles me. We just can't reach a decision on this bullshit, man. These innocent babies have to keep losing their lives, and teachers that are going in every day, committing themselves to teaching children, and a lot of them are doing it, underpaid, and they're also expected to protect children, and then also de-escalate situations with these fucking kids that are unraveled mentally coming into the school wanting to do harm to other people because their parents don't care enough about them at home. You know what I mean? It's shit is scary, man, especially, being a parent that has children in the public school system,
I'm gonna bring it back full circle. That's what open communication needs to happen between parent and child.
Yeah.
The education of like I taught my son how to shoot when he was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I took him to the gun range because I want him to know the importance of it. I didn't want to have it here in the house.
Yeah.
And he walks around and see this cool looking shit and so, ooh, that's what's up. Bow.
Yeah.
Now I need you to understand that this is a tool and it's not to be fucked around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he'll see it, you know what I'm saying? It'd be laying around and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And he know how to unload it, load it. He knows when it's clear, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't, like I said, you got to give him the option so he can never be emotional. So he had to get to the point where he had to take a gun to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, like we gotta do better of trying to give more options. We have to fight the options that's available because the social engineering of social media to just regular television showing deaf culture and no accountability. I mean, motherfuckers just walking around like John Wick and just killing a whole bunch of motherfuckers, no cops at all, type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas the dealing with the dynamic of being bullied as a kid, I don't know. These guys was probably like signifying something about him, and he didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? Or just kept bullying, taking his nose. You know, because but he shot more than just 2 people though. He
killed 4 people.
He killed 4 people, but he shot.
Yeah,
more
there was others that were injured. They
not
life-threatening injuries, but they were shot nonetheless. You know, I think this is the other thing too on the home parenting side. Parents, and I think you were alluding to this some in what you just said. Parents need to stop sweeping shit under the rug when they see that their kid is some type of emotional turmoil or having some type of mental instability.
Yeah,
You can't chalk that shit up as just being, oh, he's going through something today, or he's angry and he's just being a kid. Nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
If something's wrong with your kid and they're exhibiting these signs of mental instability, it is your responsibility as a parent to act on that shit quickly.
No doubt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Before, guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and if you don't act on it quickly, you should be held responsible for anything that comes as a result of it. You know, like I don't. That's what I wanted to say. Go ahead, Ak, I'm sorry. You were gonna say something, I think.
You got it.
Nah, it's just sad, man, and I think the overall when you have it happening at such a high rate in America, like America is like the rate of school shootings is exponentially more than any place else in the world.
Yep.
We have to look at that and ask what is different about us. And I would say, man, we don't prioritize mental health care at all.
Definitely.
We don't prioritize it for adults. So we definitely don't prioritize it for children. And, you know, man, we all have shit. We're in our 40s, man. And I have contemporaries, I have peers that are my age and older who aren't emotionally mature.
Yeah.
Like they have a hairpin trigger as far as their temper is concerned.
Yeah.
Right. Or, you know, the woman, you know, the woman version would be, you know, crying about every damn thing, right? And not being able to like really process anything, and you're just crying. Yeah. Like you see it manifest in a lot of different ways and differently with different people. But oftentimes, man, like men in particular, I can really only speak for Black men, but I can say that men are socialized in general, oftentimes to be stoic, right? And to not really express emotions. And if you are expressing an emotion, you're either expressing indifference or anger, right? You can't cry. It's not socially acceptable for you to cry. It's not socially acceptable for you to be emotionally vulnerable. When a man is emotionally vulnerable, oftentimes his peers can be the worst people to be emotionally vulnerable to, right? You cry in front of your homeboy and you don't end up hearing the end of that for, 30 years sometimes, right? And I think that we all just need to be a little bit more careful with each other. But this is really a male problem. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a female school shooter, right? So there's something that our young men are not getting, like across the board. I know that there's
a safe space, man.
There aren't really any safe spaces for men. I can speak only from a Black male perspective. The closest thing to a consistent safe place that we get from city to city to city are our barbershops. Other than that, like, you know what I mean? And if you like me and you got the murder one and you're not going to the barbershop, like who do you really talk to, man? I haven't had a barber since pandemic. My barber got shot and killed, but that's a whole nother situation, man. But man, rest in peace to that brother, man. My line ain't been crispy since. But yeah, but I'm not even. But yo, and in all honesty, men need safe spaces and men need spaces to be emotionally vulnerable without women saying, well, a real man wouldn't cry, or without men saying, man, nigga, wipe your tears or whatever. But like really to just be able to be emotionally vulnerable so that they don't get to these breaking points and shit where they end up hurting other people. It's tragic when it's adults. It's heartbreaking when it's children, man. And in all honesty, like it's absolutely heartbreaking. And we become desensitized and numb to it because you hear school shooting. We've been hearing that since Columbine. And Columbine was an anomaly, right? I remember Trench Coat Mafia. I remember details of that story. I don't remember details of really any school shooting since because they've become so frequent. It's become a part of the culture. So we have to really do some deep diving as to what is wrong with our males. We need to make emotional services available for our males. And I'm not for the softening of men. I'm not for the softening of society or anything like that. But I definitely know that there's value in the human experience in dealing with other people that might know a little bit more or might be interested in maybe hearing your perspective or just willing to listen or whatever until you can get something out. So that's what I think our society needs to focus on. And overall, our government needs to focus on mental health care and making mental health care available to as many people as possible, because clearly the services are being underutilized, if at all utilized.
I think that everything both of y'all said was right and exact. I think that when it comes to mental health care, I think it needs to happen earlier than later. But especially when it comes to children. Yeah. Like this kid was, how old was this kid? 14 years old?
Yep.
See, like 2 more years, we can't get access to our kids because they shut it down due to the HIPAA laws. You know what I'm saying? So anything that's going on with the child, you know what I mean? If they don't want to share that with you, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Now the government just stopped you from communicating with your children.
Yep. Then they leave it all up to your children to know, as if 18 is the age for them to have understanding about the importance of mental health or being tuned into that. You know what I mean?
Fuck that. Don't give that kid that option. You fucking communicate with your fucking kid. You don't give a fuck what they gotta say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And do that, because you got to get them earlier than later. Because look at the what was it, the 6-year-old kid in Newport News that shot the teacher?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that too. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And Newport News ain't no joke, man. If you ain't from the news, stay out the news, or you be in the news. So that's that type of place. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like I mean, shit, trust. I'm telling you, I lived out there. You know what I mean? So like I understood the temperament of the child, possibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that time, because of the environment that they're in.
Yeah, it's a harsh environment, but you know what? I want to say this, and then perhaps we could close after this. When I was in high school, I remember, and this is early mid 90s, right? Like I remember coming into school, early 90s, coming into school and having to put my backpack through an X-ray scanner.
Yeah,
I remember having to walk through a metal detector.
Yeah.
But then I remember having to put my back through an X-ray scanner.
Beautiful invention.
Right. Yeah. You know, and it's interesting to me that when you go out and now here we are, damn, like 30 plus, 35 plus, 30 years, whatever, 30 years later. And these schools still haven't, out in the suburbs, because this is where this is really happening at.
Yeah.
They still haven't recognized the importance of being able to use technology to help mitigate, you know, these tragedies, right? Yeah. The chance for these tragedies to occur. And I've heard parents, some parents say, particularly those that don't know what it's like to grow up in the inner city, they'll say stuff like, well, we don't want metal detectors in the school, and we don't want X-ray machines in the school because we don't want our kids to feel like they're criminalized.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, okay, would you rather your kid feel criminalized,
right?
Or would you rather your kid come in or come into school and possibly be sitting next to somebody that has a gun on them because of you don't have the technology in place to mitigate these things, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, despite growing up in East New York, Brooklyn, going to high school in Brooklyn, and being in high school during the crack era, I never felt criminalized coming into school and putting my JanSport backpack through the X-ray machine or walking through a metal detector.
Yeah.
So my argument is what's the problem with us implementing these type of safety measures and security measures in school to, at the very least, mitigate the chance of these things happening?
The whites don't want to feel like niggas.
That's it. There you go. That's it exactly.
They don't want to be demonized as niggas and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They want to be super perfect in their life and comfortable and have their doors open and all types of shit. Things are different now. They run in your crib. They still in your cars. You know what I'm saying?
Start charging the parents. Like I feel like any parent of a kid, if a kid gets charged as an adult, the parents should take a charge. If things don't happen like this sort of things, like people don't just have breaks like this without there being some level of like warning sign. You know what I'm saying? Like this has been whether it's bullying and the kid didn't feel like he had anybody to talk to in that regard, or whether it was bullying and the kid was talking to people and they didn't take him seriously, whatever the case may be, there was a lapse in the village somewhere for this child. And you got to look at the parents first. And I mean, there are some just deranged children, so you can't just like make broad sweeping claims that every kid that screws up, like you got to charge the parents. But when it's something like this, if you know that you have a kid that might be mentally unwell, and you know that you also have a fucking AR-15, like, come on, man. Like, yo, you have to move smarter than that. Even if it's just getting a safe for your crib, like you have to move smarter than that.
You knew Johnny was fucked up. You knew Johnny was kind of off.
Yeah.
You know
I was on the board of an organization called the Michigan Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence. It was me and really a bunch of older white people from across the country, from across the state. And when they talked about like gun violence or whatever, like, you know, I always felt somewhat singled out community wise, because whenever you turn on the news or whatever, like black on black, this, blah, 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 black person shot this black person, blah, 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 gun, Chicago, blah, 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 right? So I did a little bit of research because I like to just have certain, you know, talking points or whatever when it comes to things. I don't like to feel backed in a corner, especially when I'm the only black person in the situation, right? So I was looking at gun violence statistics in rural communities, and suicide in rural communities is as big as a problem as homicide in urban communities. They're killing themselves left and right, and it's typically murder by a gun, or suicide by gun.
Right.
And you have that dynamic of suicide, and you also have the dynamic of school shootings. And when you factor that in, we all have a common problem that even if you don't give a damn about the human condition of your fellow man, you should care a little bit enough about the next generation and the children to want to curtail things and to make them things better for them than they are for us. So I will say, like, there need to be sweeping changes, but I'm also not really an advocate of taking away people's guns, because we know who that's going to target. Right. And I'm down for giving away my gun if everybody gives away their guns, including the government, but we know that that's not going to happen. That's right. So I'm not down to do that, but I really think that it needs to be tackled from a mental health perspective, because as the adage goes, guns don't kill people, but people kill people.
That's right.
That's why you got to educate people about the fucking gun, the tool that's being used. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then they can make a decision, a direct decision on what they're gonna do. Me and D grew up in Brooklyn, so it's like, you know. But I went to high school of a place that it was in Bed-Stuy. That was a lot of crime that was happening. You know what I mean? Like people was getting the gold fronts taken out with pliers, to people getting shot over 8-ball jackets, starter Raider jackets. What else, D? What else was getting shot up?
Triple fat goose.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sheepskin coat, some of that. They was getting murdered for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So we had to have metal detectors in our school. We had securities that cared. We started dressing since we couldn't wear the clothes that was going to possibly get us murdered. You know what I'm saying? So we had a concept called shout out to Frank Mickens. He was a Joe Clark of Bed-Stuy. He came up with the concept of dress for success, and we had us in certain ties. Like I never fathomed that. You know what I'm saying? My first experience of school shooting was Tyrone Sinkler.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? Like this is a brother that lived in the houses with us. Z.
Tyrone Sinkler and Ian, aka
Elo. Yeah, like you know they were street bullies.
Yeah,
they were bullies.
You know what I mean? We was cool with them, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, they bullied everybody else, you know what I'm saying? I think Tyler was a decent, you know what I'm saying? And the one I was getting bullied, you know what I'm saying, could take it no more, and off both of them at the school. Right, that's how it happened. Was it outside of school or inside the school?
It was inside the school, and I don't quite remember exactly what happened. I just know that they both.
It was from a form of bullying, though, for sure.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first time I ever heard of a school shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, outside the school is one thing. Inside the school was another thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just listen, man. I don't know. I'm just really tired of hearing these stories. You know. And being a parent of a kid of children that are in the public school system, it's very worrisome, man. Like the shit is just crazy. And if I could be honest, living in a place that is in a community like where 95% of these shootings occur.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you know, I don't know. And then also too, thinking about the security protocols at the schools. And I just think about, man, how it's just so easy for these kids to get in with weapons and guns, and you know, just I don't know. I don't,
The door should be locked regardless. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yo,
Like,
but here's the thing: the door can be locked, but kids come into the school, and so let me back up a little bit.
He was
In the school district where my kids are, right? They've instituted this thing where every kid has to have a clear backpack, right? So they can't come into the so they don't. The doors are locked, and they have, you know, the sort of multi-door security protocol at the schools.
I gotta grab my plug. Give me 1 second, fellas.
Okay. Yeah.
boys, nigga, god damn, bro. Fuck, yo.
So they
On
have
your phone, nigga. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so they have these security protocols, right? Multi-door security protocols, but you know, like they still allow kids to, and then the other way, I guess, what they instituted is to clear backpacks, and that's so that they can see kids coming to school and what they having. But that doesn't really help, right? Because kids wear hoodies, kids wear coats, you know, kids wear big clothes, and that's why I'm puzzled. I'm like, you can easily just go ahead and get a metal detector, the district can invest in a metal detector and an x-ray machine, and have every kid and a wand too. You know what I mean? It's a very easy thing, man, but they're so set on this thing of, we don't want our kids to feel criminalized, because if they feel criminalized, they come into a school and they can't really truly enjoy the experience of learning without feeling like it's potentially an environment for criminals, or a criminalized environment. Protections.
Y'all better smarten up.
And see, that's the thing for me. I'm like I said, I didn't feel that way at all. So
I felt safe.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, it can be argued that having those additional security measures in place makes a kid feel safe. And
why
those
the fuck is it not even an argument? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is that not even an argument, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Why isn't it across the countries of people that have metal detectors are not bringing these presentations to all these other schools? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the national education system, you know what I mean? Like, why isn't there talking about that? They told, oh, we need to figure out a way, and we got to make sure that they feel safe, and they'll push like the alphabet information on making a motherfucker a fairy, but they won't push, you know what I'm saying? They won't push metal detectors. Like that's a simple fix.
It's a very simple thing, man. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but yeah, man. But you know, I on behalf of us all here, you know, our heart goes out to the people that were killed
straight up
by this fucking unstable kid, man, and those that were injured. We wish them a speedy recovery. You know,
and if you are unstable and you think that you're unstable, like, know that isolation is a dangerous enemy. Find somebody to talk to that can get this stuff off your chest, man. You know, like if you stay there and you be by yourself, you start going in your metaverse and you start believing and thinking, because your mind plays tricks on you, and you start believing and you start creating, and it's not even reality. Now you stuck in your head. You falling down
that rabbit hole.
Now you depressed. And now you're enraged. Like, yo, there's ways to it. There's books out there, man.
You know what we'll do? What we'll do? I'm sorry. In closing, what we're gonna do is, in the description section, if you feel like, or you know anybody that feels like they're mentally unraveled, kids or whatever, we're gonna put a couple of numbers down here and links in the description section so that you can call people and call helplines to get the help that you need, because go through this stuff alone. You can't
do it on your own. You can't do it by yourself, yo. Like, you know what I'm
And
saying? Like, people love you, man. They want you out here in this world, man.
And this is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month as well.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah.
Yep. So, shout out to everybody that, had thoughts about not being here, and kept moving forward, and got to a better space.